Hello, this is Mr. Chabry. We're ready to start PGBL Season 4. So for this draft, I wanted to use a lot of Pokemon that I haven't used before, but have always eyeballed, always thought about drafting them. And a lot of these Pokemon that I've been wanting to draft, I was able to draft for this league, so let's hop right into it. The first Pokemon I drafted was Heatran. Heatran's a Pokemon that I've been wanting to draft for a long time. It's a really good Fire type, a really good Steel type. So right off the bat, I'm building onto my my different cores. But this Pokemon right here has really good special attack at 130, and it's got decent bulk as well. And it also has okay speed. It's not the fastest Pokemon, but it's not the slowest Pokemon. So if you Scarf it, it can actually outspeed quite a few things. Heatran is actually a really solid Pokemon, and this one is also a Pokemon that I decided to use as one of my Z-move users. So the next Pokemon I drafted is actually Megalopunny. I've been wanting to use Megalopunny for a long time. This thing has really good speed and really good attack. And I wanted a physical attacker since the first Pokemon I drafted was a special attacker. This thing has the fighting and normal type, and it also has the scrappy ability. So that way, even if my opponent throws out a ghost type, I'm going to still be able to do a lot of damage to those. Megalopunny's a really good Pokemon. It does have some other sets you can use, like a Cleric set, but I think most of the time, using a more full-on offensive set is going to be the best option with this thing, just because it's got really good attack at 136, really good speed at 135. And this is actually my fastest Mon, and it can outspeed a lot of things. And it's not as frail as you would think. It's got 94 defense, 96 special defense. Its HP is a little bit low, but with those defenses, it actually has a little bit of bulk, so it can actually still take a few hits before it goes down. The next Pokemon I drafted was TabooBulu. This right here is a pretty good grass type, 130 attack, 115 defense. It can actually take a few hits, however, it is really weak to poison. But with Heatran, that gives us a poison type check. And also TabooBulu has the grassy terrain that's going to also help out Heatran, because it's going to weaken ground type, or Earthquake in particular. I don't think it does it to other ground type moves, but Earthquake's a very threatening thing for Heatran. And with TabooBulu, I can bring it out and sponge some of those hits very well. Also, an Assault Vest set would be really nice. It's got 95 special defense. So with an Assault Vest, it can be a very bulky Pokemon. Give it Horn Leech, it can heal itself back up. Grassy Terrain will boost that Horn Leech. And if I need to do more damage, I can go for a Wood Hammer. So I think TabooBulu has a pretty decent place on this team. And as you're going to see, I drafted some other Pokemon that actually work well with TabooBulu. So the main two Pokemon on my team that I wanted to build around was that Heatran and TabooBulu. And I think these Pokemon work very well together. With my next pick, I wanted to pick a Pokemon that would also benefit from the grassy terrain, and I thought Raikou fit that pretty well. Raikou's a really good electric type. It's got decent bulk, 90 HP, 100 special defense. Its defense is on the lower side, but with that 90 HP, it can still take a few hits. And this thing is very fast, 115 speed, 115 special attack. This thing can hit hard, and it can do a lot of good work, especially with a grassy terrain. Its only weakness really is ground types, and if Earthquake is weakened, that's going to make Raikou a lot better for us. This thing does get some really good coverage options as well. Extra sensory. We could run Hidden Power Ice if there's a scary ground type. It also gets Aura Sphere, so that's also a really good option. But what I want to do with this is I think I want to play to that bulk a little bit and give it Calm Mind a few battles. Because a Calm Mind Raikou, if you get a boost, it can do a lot of work for you. So I'm thinking this thing is going to be a very critical Pokemon on my team. And this is also my second Z-move user because it's got good coverage. A Calm Mind can be so overpowering, and I think this is a really solid Pokemon. So looking at the Pokemon that I picked so far, I noticed that I wanted to get a little bit more bulk. Pokemon that are specialized in, taking hits. So my Latika was a Pokemon that I looked at and I thought fit pretty well. Being a water type, it helps fill out my water, grass, fire core. And it also has good special defense at 125, good HP at 95. Its defense is on the lower side, but I think that HP is going to help out its defense a lot. But this is a really good Pokemon. It gets really good moves. Haze, just in case something's trying to set up on me. I could bring Ice Beam, Scald, Recover. I've seen some people use Mirror Coat set, just in case something has really high special attack, and you know for a fact that your Milotic probably will live a hit. It can do a lot of damage back. But this thing's a really cool Pokemon. I've been wanting to use it for a while, and looking at my team, I thought this would be the perfect choice for my next Pokemon. So for my next pick, I was in between Hydreigon or Noivern. They were in the same tier, so I had to really work to decide which one to pick, and I decided to go with Noivern. Looking at my team, I do have quite a bit of a fighting type weakness. Lopunny and Heatran are both weak to fighting types, and the only thing that resists fighting types is TabooBulu. But a lot of fighting types get poison type moves as coverage, so I thought having Noivern would give me an option to take on fighting types, and I think it would also give me a good option for utility. And that's the main thing I really wanted with Noivern. Up to this point, I didn't really have any defogger or way to handle hazards. So with Noivern, that basically gives me an option to, go in and be able to defog. I can roost up some damage. I could have a Frisk set and just scout out what the opponent's got, item-wise. I could even have an Infiltrator set and hit things that are trying to hide behind a substitute. But this Pokemon has really good speed. This thing has 123 speed. It's got decent special attack at 97. It's not the best. But like I said, I really want to use this thing more for utility. And with 85 HP and 80 defenses, it can actually surprisingly take some hits. So with this thing, I think I'm mainly going to use it for utility. But there might be some situations where I use it for, a fast offensive special attacker. For my next pick, I was looking at my team, and I noticed I really wanted a little bit more bulky options. Of course, TabooBulu does have decent defense, but you don't really want to rely on that Pokemon to take physical attacks. So looking at my team and looking at the Pokemon available, I went with the Pokemon that I usually go to when I need a bulky Pokemon, and that is Uxie. This thing is amazing. I've used it quite a few times, and it's actually taken so many bumps for me. It's done so much for me utility-wise. This is a really good Pokemon, and I love using it in Draft League format. This thing has 130 defenses, which is really nice. It does have decent speed at 95, so you can use it to set up reflects or light screens. And it gets U-turn, so you can actually U-turn out if you need to. So this is a really solid Pokemon. I love this thing. And looking at my team is a team that actually would appreciate having some screens up. So I think Uxie does that very well. And it also, I can just throw it out to take a physical hit and U-turn out to bring in something to threaten out that physical attacker. So with Uxie, I think it's going to do a lot of work for the team, and it's a really solid Pokemon. I love this thing. I just love this thing so much in draft format. So when it was time to pick the next Pokemon to draft, I was looking at my team. I was thinking, what would be nice? I would like to have a ground type. I would love to have a poison type. And, of course, looking at my team, looking at the Pokemon available, I really want to try out Nidoking. This is actually a really good Pokemon. It's not really slow. It's got 85 speed, so it's got some decent speed. Of course, its 85 special attack is, on paper, it looks bad, but it does get Sheer Force as an ability, and you can give it a Life Orb, and it can do a lot of work with that special attack. Also, this thing gets really good coverage. It can get, of course, poison and ground type moves, but it also gets like Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, even Surf. It gets a ton of different coverage options. So if you see a Nidoking out there, you can't be too sure what it's going to go for. It's got something for everybody. So I've seen firsthand that this thing can actually surprise you. There was a battle where I was battling someone that was using Nidoking on their draft team, and looking at the Nidoking, I did not have a perfect switch in at all because the Nidoking had something for every other Pokemon on my team. I think I was able to finally take it down, but it did a lot of damage to my team, and I really want to try this thing out. This is an amazing Pokemon. It's actually one of my favorite Pokemons, but I've never used it in draft format. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun bringing this thing to my team and throwing it out there if I need some really good coverage options. The next Pokemon I wanted to try out was Licky. So if you've watched any of the previous draft leagues I've done, you know I have a lot of trouble breaking through this thing. Licky has really good bulk, and it is also a really good wish passer. So you can like send wishes to something with this thing. But like I said, I have so much trouble taking this thing out. It always has enough bulk to live whatever I'm trying to hit it with, and it's able to wish, protect, and get all that health back, and come back later to be more of a problem for me. So looking at that, I really needed a wish passer, and I didn't want anyone else using Licky because I have such a problem breaking through this thing. So I thought, you know what would be fine? Let's go ahead and take Licky for ourselves. At this point, we've got enough fighting type coverage that adding another normal type's not going to be the worst thing for us. So I want to actually try Licky out, see what it can do for me, because this is a really good Pokemon. I've seen it do a lot of work in battles before, and I'm so stoked to try it out in Draft League format. So even though I said I was pretty confident in my checks for fighting types, I decided to have another Pokemon that can actually handle fighting types pretty well, having an immunity to fighting types, and also wanted a Pokemon to handle psychic types if I ever have to face those down. And looking at my team, a lot of my Pokemon were actually on the faster end, and if someone had a Trick Room team, that would be a problem for me. So I decided to draft Dusknoir. This thing is a really good bulky Pokemon, 135 defenses. 100 attack is not the best, but I could put a choice band on it and actually do some threatening stuff with that. It's got 45 speed, so this is actually the slowest mon on my team. The main thing I wanted to do with this is have a Pokemon that could come in and scare psychic types. Maybe even if my opponent uses a Trick Room team, I can have a Pokemon on my side that can actually take advantage of that as well. And the cool thing about Dusknoir is it's actually really good against most of the Trick Roomers that you see out there. Most of the time, Trick Roomers are psychic types. Dusknoir can actually handle those pretty well. So with 100 attack, if I choice band that does a lot of damage. I could even do something like an Assault Vest and have a really crazy special defense on this thing. But yeah, Dusknoir is another Pokemon that I've never really used that often. And I don't even see it that much in Draft League format, but I want to give it a shot. Like you've probably seen in some other videos I've done, I really love Duskull. It's one of my favorite ghost types, and I want to see if Dusknoir can, you know, pack a punch for our team. So for my last pick, I decided to go with Serena. This thing has 120 attack, and looking at my team, I noticed I had a few more special attackers than physical attackers, so I decided to go ahead and make sure my last Pokemon was a physical attacker. This thing has decent bulk as well. Both defenses are at 98, so I think that's really cool. This gives me a Rapid Spinner, so that way Noivern's not the only option I have for hazards. And this is also a Pokemon that can really benefit from grassy terrain. It gets a boost on its move Trop Kick, which Trop Kick lowers the defense of the Pokemon every time. So that could actually come in handy in certain situations. Or I could even just put Power Whip on this thing so I can, you know, make sure I take things out in the grassy terrain. And this thing does have really good coverage too. It gets quite a few fighting type moves, and I think that would be pretty nice having those on Serena. But the main thing I wanted was that physical attack, something with a little bit of bulk, and mainly Rapid Spin. So here is basically the list of all the Pokemon. What do you think about my team? Do you think this is a pretty nice team, or do you think there's certain Pokemon I should have used over others? Like I said, if you like this, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about the team in the comments, and I will see you in the next Pokemon video.